Dan, the more I think about it, I do believe that podcasting is my hobby.
Are you saying you are a podcasting hobbyist?
I was not going to say that. I was just going to say that I am a non-professional podcaster.
Well, then that would make you the magical word. That's what that would make you.
Yeah, podcasting is my hobby, and I am a non-professional at it. I mean, we make a pittance for an income with our podcast. It's probably one of our biggest failures is a social media personality. Do you agree?
Yeah. I don't know if we've fully reached the potential of monetization of this podcast since our profits are in the double digits.
Written in red ink, probably too.
And that's up from the single digits of the second year. Yeah.
Yeah, there are. Okay, so I guess there are a lot of wealthy podcasters out there, but aren't some of them, they started off wealthy, like they're movie stars or personalities, like newscasters or stand-up comedians, whatever. And they have parlayed their status into that as a podcaster, commanding huge audiences and landing big deals with, Spotify, iHeartRadio, stuff like that.
Yes.
And then there's organic people like you and me, salt of the earth, just normal, everyday Joes and Dans.
Yeah, there's the people that have an established audience that they leverage to get the upfront sponsorship of a podcast. Therefore, they go into it already, set. They're making it pay for the time and effort ahead of time. Yeah. Whereas, to your point, the organic podcast has to grow and then try to compete and try to validate sponsorship.
Right.
Which is tough.
Yeah. I believe the thing for you and me to keep in mind is it actually costs money to have a podcast, correct?
Yes, it does.
But there are opportunities. So we have subscribed to this podcast kind of a platform thing, and it costs money. And they, however, run ads on our episodes, and we get money for that. So that at the end of the day, if we're doing better than not, then we have numbers that are in black ink. and then there's other months where our letters or our numbers are in red ink.
Right. There's and the black ink doesn't have very many numbers written in that black ink usually.
Uh-huh. Well, and that's why I said that I believe that podcasting is my hobby.
Yes, it definitely is right now.
Uh-huh.
Well, quick back to your point about the whole platform. Like that's one of the things that's nice is we can take that hands-off approach where we don't have to be out there like paving the pavement looking for sponsors or trying to put together ads to run. That stuff is, I don't have time for that.
Well, maybe if we did, I would be driving a new Maserati instead of my little rusty F-150, huh?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I guess if maybe at the end of this month, we might be able to both go out and have a celebratory dinner at Burger King.
Yeah. What's on the value menu?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to just make clear that podcasting is my hobby. I understand that you have a other hobby too. That could be its own episode one day. You are the king of the hobbyists. All the other hobbyists in town look up to you. And then
there's jingles playing in this episode.
And then there's just me, and firewood is my livelihood. and that's how I make ends meet. And yes, I make money with YouTube as well, but I'm mostly I consider myself a firewood delivery service first. And in the milieu of firewood production and firewood delivery, the first thing that you learn is so much depends on the weather.
Yes, the weather. And that is one factor that in my situation as a hobbyist, I can kind of avoid and pick and choose. If the weather's not nice out, I'll find something else to do.
Yeah, well, I got news for you. So do I. I do not work in the rain. And like this year, the winter has just been brutal with how the cold temperatures and the wind and all. And I'm just not going to work in that weather either. And what I have found now, because we finally had a break in the weather, and I wouldn't say it's spring, but we've had some really nice temps, 70 degrees, mid 60s, dry. And I have just been going at it with production. I have just been just producing as much as I can, more than I ever have in one day on multiple days, just out of my usual pace. But I think that is largely because I had an aha moment the other day when I was moving my gigantic commercial grade vertical splitter, the Easton made axis, around the yard, getting it ready to start working.
Oh, and what was that? What did you figure out? Because I think I know where you're going with this, and it's something that is often overlooked when talking about firewood and the weather.
Yes, yes. Well, I have said this multiple times that the thing that most was my blind spot in starting this business was the weather. And you always think of the rain, you think of the deep snow, but man, that's the heat of summer. And with my processor, with my log splitter, what I had learned is that I am very process oriented. I have a workflow to my wood yard where I have the logs placed with the log trucks, where we decided to put the gate when we built that wall, where the wood's going to be processed into the trailer, how the trailer is going to be pulled around to the drying yard. I had all of this idea about this process. And part of the process was there are logs that won't fit through my processor because they're too big, too crooked, too something. And I would fork them down to the lower end of my yard, not just to get them out of my life and out of my sight, but it's because in the summertime, that's where the shade is. And that is like the labor intensive stuff with the chainsaws and the log splitters. And that was my aha moment, was because I am now declaring this oak month. I'm trying to get all of my oak produced and stacked. And it just so happens that where I'm stacking it is right next to where the logger laid all the oak logs. So I sat my Easton made axis in between the two because there's always logs that I got to chainsaw and split with the splitter. You with me?
Yep, I'm following.
Yeah. So I thought, wow, this is a brilliant idea. I think I'll just leave it here all the time. I mean, this makes so much sense.
Yes,
But
yeah.
yeah, but then today we had a little bit of heat come in, unseasonably warm temperatures, and I had a quick reminder of why I had it set up the way it was to begin with.
To get out of the sun.
Get out of the
Yep.
sun. Yeah, that sun. Isn't it amazing how we all grew up? And I grew up in the early 70s and 80s, and I can still hear my parents, get out there in the sun, get out there, and now you realize that the sun's dangerous, man. And it's not good for you, and it's not good for me,
Yeah,
without
I
getting into much
spent
detail. But
I spent my whole childhood, shirtless on the farm, baling hay, raking hay, out in the sun. I mean, all summer long. So, we never thought anything about it. But yeah, now I am not a fan of the sun either. And that's the one thing that I mentioned that I think a lot of people overlook is they want nice weather for making their firewood. But if you can get out
yeah,
of the sun, that is the key component. Because, man, the sun
yeah.
will drain you down.
Oh my gosh, that was when I look at where my money's gone. And I don't put a lot of emphasis into my accounting and all, but when I think about it, it was last early spring, I had that roof put over top of my processor. That was probably the best money I've ever spent money on. Was it just changes everything. I have a real nice high roof. I'm able to work now in the afternoons because I remember the heat, not just the heat, but the sun. I had this
Yes.
wide brim hat. I would wear long sleeves and long pants in the intense heat just to keep the sun off of me. And just having that roof over my head just really just changed everything for me.
Same here. Same thing with my carport. Once I had that roof up, man, it was night and day. Just getting in out of the sun. And yeah, to your point, it didn't have to be very hot, but just out of the sun. Just being
Yeah.
able to work in the shade, having it made in the shade. That's where that saying, I think, comes from.
Yeah. And then, so we're coming up into May, and this is getting to the International Firewood Expo. May is Skin Cancer Awareness, and I don't know, Dan. I belong to a couple nonprofits, and I know how it is. Any of these nonprofits, it's always the same people that do everything. These like local organizations and stuff. But I've had bad luck reaching out to local charities because I'm trying to partner with one for the expo, and it hasn't been easy. And the one was because May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and I reached out to a couple charities, local ones, dermatologists and
Yep.
the American Cancer Association. Jeez, it's not easy because I just had it in my head that I could just talk to a doctor and they could come to the expo and set up a booth and have free screenings and pass out literature. Because some of these guys and gals have their own commitment to their industry like that.
Right.
Yeah, but probably it's not going to happen.
Not the case, huh?
No, no.
Jeez.
But that's like what I said because I belong to a couple nonprofits, and like for your local ones, it's always the same people that come to the meetings. It's always the same people that do all the work. So I can understand, if I'm reaching out trying to find someone who wants to park cars or help out with this and that, and then make a donation. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be tough.
Yeah. But the other thing, getting back to the weather, I'm just dying for the weather to break and the sun to come out and everything to dry up. But all that means is the grass is going to start growing.
Oh, and then you're going to have to start mowing.
Yeah, then you have to start mowing the grass. And then I've already seen the birds are back. The killdeer, you remember all the killdeer nests that were in my yard for the
Yeah.
expo? I would have them roped off
They
so that no
always
one
pick a
would step
spot.
on their eggs. Yeah.
Well, they don't have to worry this year because we won't have all those people there. We'll be at the fairgrounds.
Well, yeah, we'll be at the fairgrounds. I'm sure there'll be nests over there, but there's only so much we can do, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm ready for spring, but again, it's that fine balance of the weather. I don't want it to be crappy out, but then if it's really nice out, it kind of sucks because it gets too
Yeah.
too hot, and if you're out in the sun, I don't know. I don't like it. I like
Yeah.
cloudy, gloomy days.
I do too. I like 50 degrees, heavy, thick, overcast.
Yes, with a
Yeah.
slight breeze.
But not windy.
Are we complain? Are we? I guess we're not really complaining about the weather, so we can't.
No,
We're just discussing, right?
yeah, we're not complaining. We're just discussing. Yeah. Why is it that it always comes back to the weather for us? That is part of
I
my
don't
channel
know.
description is that this is a firewood channel and I complain about the weather.
Firewood and the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Uh-huh.
speaking of the weather, it's been. We last week were at 78 degrees, middle of the afternoon. The next day we were at 28 degrees.
Yeah.
We were at 50 yesterday, and tomorrow we have a winter storm.
Yeah. We went from mid 70s to the high 20s in a day and a half, and talk about wind.
Yeah.
And the next day I went outside and there was a shingle laying on my driveway. And I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. But then as I was looking at it, it appears to have been a shingle because we just had our roof replaced last summer. And it appears to have been a shingle that got cut in the bushes somehow.
Oh,
And the wind blew it out. So we dodged a
well, that's
bullet
good.
there. Yeah, I don't like the
Yeah.
wind. And then we're back into the high 60s today. We're supposed to be into the 70s again here tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the weird things with this time of the year is a lot of people think of, if you're talking about firewood and burning firewood, like this is the time of the year a lot of people are like shutting down their boilers, wrapping up their burning season. But
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of like this is kind of like now the kickoff to production mode to make up and try to get ahead from all the wood that I burned all winter.
Yeah. That's what I had just been killing it lately with production. I'm sitting on an ice pack right now because I kind of felt a little ugh
Oh,
in my back today. And then I still got evening work that I'm doing now. And that's like the days are longer too since the time change, huh?
yeah. So you're getting more done, but you're moving slower. So really, you're balanced out to be like just right where you normally are.
Hmm. Last week we had some weird weather and I had deliveries every single day of the week. And on 2 days I had multiple deliveries, had a huge sales week. And I did get some production done, but not as much as I wanted to. But then I had my one truck. I have a caliper that's hanging up on it, so I got to do a brake job. And then my other truck, the heat quit working on it. The blend door switch, the actuator has gone bad. So I got two trucks I got to work on.
Wow.
And I would prefer to have a rainy day to do it, but we got a good stretch of dry weather coming. I got to go, man. I got to get this wood made.
Yeah. The more I listen to you and your trucks and all the things that go on with them, I am glad that my delivery truck is owned by the USPS and they just take care of it. The
Yeah,
mailman, if his truck breaks down, he just gets a new delivery truck for me.
right. It makes me wonder if there is like someone out there that you could contract with. But then, I consider my delivery as my brand, so they'd
Yeah.
have to be trained up and all and be in uniform. But I don't know. It'd be nice if someone else's truck could get worn out on these deliveries instead of
May-
my own.
Maybe you should register with DoorDash and you could have a teenager show up, pick up a quarter cord and take it somewhere for you.
That's actually not a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. Or I could get a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
Has a big trunk. Yeah.
That might be something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Well, Dan, when we were talking about this episode, we said we're not going to complain about the weather, and I don't feel that we have, but we have to be real that the weather plays a huge role in our lives. If we had an easy job where we could just sit around and look at a computer screen all day and attend meetings on a Zoom call. Oh, wait a second. I'm describing your day. I'm sorry. Yeah, if we had an easy job like that, and then if we're just firewood is our hobby, we could just go outside when we feel like it, when it's convenient to us. But some of us, we got the world by the horns here. We got to go, man. Firewood is calling and it's got to be made.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me in my situation, it's kind of like that yin yang situation where when it's nice out, people are outside burning their fire pits, but it's not the weather to be then making the firewood in. So yeah, it's the weather is a huge factor in both firewood producing and consuming.
Yeah. That was a lyric. You ever hear the band Stone Temple Pilots? That was
I've
the
heard of them.
famous lyric. That was their famous lyric was so much depends on the weather.
I
And I
could not.
agree.
Yeah, I couldn't name you a song by them, but I've heard of them.
Yeah. All right. All right, Dan. What do you say? Let's wrap up. I got to go, man. Duty calls.
All right. Well, let's give a quick reminder to everyone out there listening. We are probably little over a month away from the big expo the
Yeah.
International Firewood Expo.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Be
We
there
are getting there.
or be square.
Uh-huh. That's the official slogan. Be there or be
And
square.
and I
I
got
just
to.
bought I just bought TV ads for it. And if you're in and around the Mahoning Valley, you should be able to see them. But I'll
Ooh,
also put them on my Facebook, and so you guys can see. I didn't realize how expensive these things are. Blind spot.
yep. Well, and I got to say, I saw the preview of the T-shirts, and so when I say be there early to get your T-shirt because those things are looking
T-shirts look
sharp.
awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is compliments of my oldest daughter, Dr. Emily. She went with me to the meeting for the T-shirts, and
Ooh,
her and the associate with Sweet Memories Vintage Tees and Candy Store. They're a big T-shirt company. They put together these colors and they look awesome.
yes. So get ready, everyone. It's gonna be a good time. Get there early.
All
Get your
right,
T-shirt. Don't miss out.
that's right.
FOMO,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
fear of missing
All right.
out.
Yeah. So Dan, how about let's strike up the band?
All right.
There we go. And let's tell everyone thank you for tuning in and helping make the Wood Hounds the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
And you can find us on your favorite streaming service every Wednesday morning, 5 a.m. New episodes drop.
That's right. So, Dan, let's tell everyone out there to stay.
Out of the sun.
There you go. And try to.
Stay out of the sun.
Uh-huh. And while you're staying out of the sun, have
A great day.